Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Monday, the 18th of March. Right, now as we come into Monday's trading, just in the start of the European session. Now, no major change to the two key factors here. Market conditions, still drifting sideways, although the dollar, and I've just got it into a slightly sort of bearish down mode on the hourlies, it is drifting lower, but over the medium long term, it's still trading sideways. And the two core drivers continuing to be the China-US trade issues and, of course, Brexit. So when you come in to look at the major pairs themselves, I'll show you these charts in a second. I've got the dollar just drifting lower. It's starting to stand out like it's one of those slow bleeders. It's just going to drift lower. Dollar yen, dollar CAD sideways. Dollar Swiss is starting to trace the dollar index lower. But Euro, Sterling and Aussie pretty much sideways. They are starting to slowly move higher, but not quite enough for my liking to put them into an upward bias like Kiwi is at the moment. Now, major releases coming up over the next 24 hours. Well, there's nothing really coming out Mondays, right? So we've got the RBA monetary policy meeting minutes started Tuesday, and that really kicks in a really big week with major UK data across the board Tuesday right through a week with the employment numbers, average earnings on Tuesday, Wednesday CPI, Thursday retail sales, and of course the Bank of England meeting, which is probably going to be sidelined with all this, Brexit commotions. There will be a Brexit, another vote in here, put in the calendar somewhere once they work out exactly what time it's going to be and what day. But the FOMC, Bank of England this week, big weeks. So there's no need to really run into the market just at the moment. As I was sort of just suggesting there a little bit before, the dollar index it's not going far, but it has got a bit of a drift on the downside. $1, US trade tensions. Well, we don't really know what's going on there, so there's not a lot of activity. The key thing from the close of trade on Friday, US equity markets pretty much flat. I mean, they're slightly up, but there's still no major impact across any of these financial instruments to give us a lead into what is actually going on. Now, the major pairs, just to give you a bit of a look here, as you can see, the Aussie drifting sideways and just slowly turning to the top side. Hasn't really broken through the top side, whereas the Kiwi is really starting to challenge the top side on the hourlies and daily charts. Dollar yen sideways. Euro, it actually had a nasty little blip down there on Friday, and that's our new support line. But, it's just slowly drifting to the top side. Sterling now sideways. Dollar CAD after that almost silly move on Friday after the data was a bit stronger. Topped out, looked like a big transaction going through the market. Now that's finished. It's sort of just drifting lower. And to me, it doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. So what we want to do is wait for these markets to reconnect over the weekend. Have a good look through your various news pages. Even on all these news services, you can see that there's a lack of clear direction or comments from central banks, etc. So just make sure you have a look through. You can just tell that there's no news to really drive these currencies anywhere for that matter. And then when you come back over to the main calendar, as you can see, the first major economic data is the UK climate count change employment numbers. Of course, the RBA not being an actual economic number wouldn't be on this calendar. So just bear that in mind as well. All right, guys, that's pretty much it from me. There's not a hell of a lot you can do on a Monday like this where we have geopolitical events driving the markets. So when you come back to, say, the MyFX Trading Hub, try and piece these things together. I need to update the fundamental outlook for a couple of these currencies. The GDP numbers last week need to be updated. So we'll get onto that. If you have any issues, jump in the 247 trade zone. But you can start to plan out your week already. There's loads of major events all week, right? This is a really big one, especially with the FOMC and, the Bank of England. But we know that's going to be sidelined, so it's maybe not so important. But, CPI figures, when you get CPI figures out, especially Canadian CPI on Friday, of course, UK CPI Wednesday, really important. They're a key driver for the central bank, so make sure you keep an eye on those. All right, guys, that's it from me. Have a good one. we'll be back on deck with the normal screens in a couple of days. Cheerio.